Hello, everyone. Welcome into episode 235 of Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports, the only American and Brazilian sports podcast. I'm Nicole, as always, from Chattanooga, Tennessee, the United States, and joining us is Gaston Mazelli, the co-host from Americana, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and from the Baltimore, Maryland area, Dylan Becker. Guys, how are we doing on this Friday evening?
Doing good, doing good. I guess we just witnessed history. That's why we love the World Cup. That's why we love soccer. I mean, this World Cup has already the people's champion, which is Cape Verde. I mean, who would have thought when they were drawn in a group with Spain, Uruguay, and Saudi Arabia, they would have qualified? It's not only qualifying second. So, what a history, they're probably going to be eliminated in the round of 32, but you know as I like the way that the Brazilian broadcasting, Casa TV, the headline now is "History chose Cape Verde," and yes, they are already the one of the headlines of this World Cup, and that's why we love. Well, we can definitely talk about our countries that also made it the round of 32.
Absolutely. And for Cape Verde to, have done this without winning a match, right? I mean, it was three draws. Of course, the incredible 0-0 draw with Spain, the 2-2 draw with Uruguay, and now obviously the 0-0 draw tonight with Saudi Arabia. Just an unbelievable result for an island of 150,000 people. There's twice the amount of people in Hamilton County, Tennessee, where I reside than in that entire country, and yet they have been able to overcome much larger countries to at least avoid
I
being
mean,
defeated by them
I
to
mean,
make
they,
it
they,
to this
elimin-
point.
they eliminated a World Cup winner. The first World Cup winner ever. So for that, it's already a remarkable achievement.
It's a great
Right.
time.
And Gus, obviously, you have much more familiar with Uruguay than I do. Just talk about how this is going to be viewed there, because this has to be an absolute disaster and a failure.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be the end of a generation that it felt like is gonna be getting Uruguay back to at least a competitive spot. Of course, the last time they were somewhat, they had a brief moment of kind of be at least in the top field. 2010 they made it to the semifinals. 2014 they made it to the round of 16, and after that, there had been a downfall. This year, they made it back to the World Cup. Their coach was a very controversial coach, Marcelo Bielsa, and even Uruguayan players were rebelling against him before tonight's game against Spain, according to a radio station, and replacing the goalkeeper after the blunder. And he is a mad coach. He is a coach that has been somewhat, controversial. Some call crazy, loco Bielsa. The crazy Bielsa, and he's not gonna stay. He After that, he is probably updating his LinkedIn status.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you there. You can't survive getting eliminated by Cape Verde.
And
Um,
and Cape Verde is gonna get now the support of 200 million people because they're gonna play Argentina in the round of 32. So now the Cape Verde, has the support of an entire nation.
I think they got more than that. I mean, anyone who's not a hardcore Messi Argentina fan is going to be rooting for them in that match. It's a David versus Goliath. Um, but let's be real here. I don't see any way Cabo Verde beats
Nah, no,
Argentina.
yeah, it's gonna be
No,
no, no. I mean, in Argentina even rest Messi. I mean, their World Cup championship was tonight. That was their champion. They're they're gonna celebrate as a champion tonight. What happened after that is extra.
and
I mean, it would be the great. Go
when it comes to major international tournaments, um, a lot of the smaller countries obviously don't have super high expectations, but take upsets like this as the greatest thing ever. And you can't help but be happy for them because I doubt they're going to win the World Cup, but it's exciting to see.
I mean, if they do, then they're gonna replace Leicester City as the biggest upset in soccer history because until today, we all can agree that the Leicester City achievement in 2016 is still the biggest underdog achievement in soccer history because winning the Premier League with all the stars and all the Man City, Liverpool, Man United money and the 5,000 to 1 odds, that's still for me the biggest upset and the biggest underdog story of all time. But Cape Verde has a chance to replace that.
Like of all time in all of sports.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, Nick has to agree with
that's
me.
interesting.
Like, there's nothing,
I would
All right,
agree with it.
all
And
there's
right.
not, there's
like I think
nothing like
about like Appalachian State, Michigan, but like this would even be bigger than that
no, no,
by
that's no, no,
multitudes.
no. That's like Appalachian State winning at all. You know, because when one game, one upset, like Leicester City won the Premier League. Leicester City needed to win 38 matches.
I
Facing Man City twice, Liverpool twice. Man United twice, Arsenal twice.
like I think the best comparison, Dylan, is like this is like Saint Peter's made the second weekend. And like if they somehow upset Argentina, it'd be like them somehow managing to make the Elite Eight or the Final Four, you know.
All right.
Uh, but
Miracle on ice level intensity.
That's more
that'd
like
be under.
UMBC. Cape Verde is UMBC.
Okay, yeah, that I know that example. That's perfect.
Yeah, so shout out to my friend Thiago Gabriel, great cameraman. Hey Nick, if you need a cameraman down in the News 12, Thiago Gabriel is very good, very good.
Absolutely. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah,
Speaking of Chattanooga, too, obviously in this group, Spain tops the group with the 1-0 win. Uh, so with 7 points. Of course, everyone was kind of panicking after that first match with Cabo Verde, but they came back, took care of business with Saudi Arabia and Uruguay. Although, yeah, I've already seen some commentary from some, at least the local folks around here, thinking that tonight was not the greatest night for Spain. And to be fair, Uruguay made that game very dirty. And frankly, Uruguay just straight up. They were in crash out mode by the end, like starting 1,000 fights. So Spain was just an objective survive by the end of that thing, get out of there with no injuries. But if you look at the bracket, things could get very interesting for me specifically, and a lot of Chattanoogans if things play out a certain way. Because if you look at where Spain is in relation to the United States in the bracket, if both teams win their first two knockout stages, they would meet in the quarterfinals, which would mean obviously our country, the country going
let me
after
see if I
the.
can find. Let me see if I can find the the bracket to show in a way that everybody can see. Let me try to see if I can find a bracket.
Yeah, but right now it appears that Spain and the U.S. If the U.S. win two matches to make the quarterfinals, and keep in mind if the U.S. makes the quarterfinals, I'll be over the moon because that was not my expectation for this tournament. My expectations at most were around a 16. So we'll see if they can do it. But if they can make to the quarterfinals and take Ghana, Spain, that would be a very well. Obviously, it wouldn't be conflicted. I'd be rah rah United States,
USA
but
all the way.
yeah, but it's kind of odd because obviously I've been rooting for Spain this entire time, right? Like obviously my city has been hosting them. It'd be cool to see the team that my city has hosted win it, but obviously if the U.S. runs into them, then at that point all bets are off. You know, and I'll be curious to see how the city reacts because I'm noticing like watch parties and stuff that we've been holding here. There's been a lot more people showing up for the American watch parties than the Spanish watch parties, which I would expect because we are America. This is America, like we're going to root for the U.S. Um,
So, can you guys see the bracket? I put the bracket on the screen.
yes,
Yeah.
So let you talk about here. So US, it's here. No, Nick, I think US is not playing Spain. They're gonna only play if they go in the semi in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah,
Yeah, that's
it
what he
would be the
said.
quarterfinals.
There's a bigger chance for oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah,
Let me
yeah. See,
here
yeah.
here here.
Let
You're
me
gonna see you're gonna see my video disappear, but you're gonna still hear me. I'm gonna look at it myself.
no okay. So
All right, but so you guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
yeah, I can still hear
All
you.
right, all right, cool. So I am looking at it. Um, I'm doing.
But yeah, so looking at the bracket now, let's start on the top. So we're gonna have a chance for Germany France right in the round of 16. That's gonna be
Nice.
nice. That's a really interesting matchup. Canada, I think their matchup against South Africa, I think there's a chance they advance. South Africa had a rocky start, but were able to qualify. Netherlands, Morocco, good matchup. Um, of course, U.S. Bosnia. I expected more from Bosnia. A lot of people joked about it. They eliminated Italy and they didn't have a good start in the World Cup, but of course made it to the round of 32. And but so anything else you wanted to add, Nick, in the before we analyze Brazil and US group stage performances? Oh, Nick is back. Okay, good. Sorry, Nick. You're
Oh no,
back.
you're good. You're good. Yeah.
Hey,
I
Jacob Larkey, great soccer fan out in Knoxville, Tennessee. If you want to join us here on our conversation about World Cup, shoot me a message on Facebook. Yeah, we're all a World Cup. So again, Nick, any thoughts?
Yeah, so definitely. I'm curious because I'm guessing Group G is about to be the group that's brought up right now with the Egypt, Iran, Belgium, and New
Yeah,
Zealand.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
So obviously that one G is a team to really watch for here, and chances are it isn't going to be Brazil because right now Egypt's top of the group, and there's a chance if Egypt wins tonight that Egypt will be that team. So that's what I'm watching for here in this Egypt Iran game in Seattle, which let's just say has some off the field controversy that I'm not going to publicly speak about
I
here.
mean, I mean, there's a chance that also Iran be the first one. Just saying.
Oh God. Well, what would be more? What's more controversial? The Egypt Iran match tonight with its circumstances around the match, uh, or a U.S. Iran match in the round of 16.
Oh, that's a toughie.
Yeah, it's if you don't know what we're talking about, so the city of Seattle has deemed tonight's Egypt Iran match as Pride Night, which, if you know anything about Egypt and Iran, that isn't going over so well.
Yeah, there are countries that are not known for being very progressive in that way.
Yeah,
And
very,
I think
a
I can,
very,
I think I say it politely enough.
a very interesting decision by Seattle, just to say the least. Yeah, but I don't know if y'all really talk about the Bosnia matchup, um, but I guess like we can. Do we want to go U.S. first or Brazil first?
I can start with Brazil first. I mean, since we end the group stage earlier, um, I feel like the definitely some things were learned Wednesday. First of all, Hayan has to be a starter. Great performance, especially pressing the defense. Recuperating the ball. The first goal was total dedication, and Vinny Jr. is finding himself, finally taking the lead in terms of, hey, I'll be the star of this team. I'm ready to take over. Third, of course, was for injury circumstances, but Rafinha definitely was not caught up in this team and was already of the, and we also learned that he's been dealing with off the field issues, especially family wise. But yeah, I'll say that hope he can find him like have a good recovery. And but the main headline: Neymar. He finally made his debut in his, I think, 2014, 18, 22, his fourth and seems like final World Cup. He entered the game with 15 minutes remaining. Of course, when the game was already 3-0, he showed some, you know, improvement. I think it's hard to analyze it. It's good that he's able to be back on the field. The game against Japan, I think he's going to be on the bench again because Carlo Ancelotti is finally finding his team, and of course, it's so funny. Like it's the same result, 3-0, but it's so different. Like the 3-0 against Haiti, it felt a little bit apathetic. It felt like a little bit disappointing. The 3-0 against Scotland, it felt a little hopeful. It felt like this team is finally showing some improvement and some, grid. But it's hard. I think we really gonna truly see what this team is all about when we face an European country in the playoffs, because that has been Brazil biggest knockout. Brazil hasn't won against an European country in the World Cup playoffs since the 2002 final against Germany. So the France in the quarterfinals in '06, Netherlands in the quarterfinals in 2010. God awful and traumatic 2014 semifinals at home against Germany, 2018 quarterfinals against Belgium, the quarterfinals against Croatia, where all Brazil had to do is to be on defense and not go all full mode attack in the last 3 minutes of the match. So it has been five consecutive eliminations against European countries, and the countries that Brazil have beaten during those World Cups were all non-European countries. '06 was Ghana, 2010 Chile, 2014 was Chile and Colombia, 2018 Mexico, and 2022 South Korea. So I think Brazil has to prove that they're able to eliminate an European country. I know the next game in the round of 32 is against Japan. It's probably going to be one of those matches where Brazil kind of takes off and people get excited about it. I'm going to be careful. I'm only going to feel excited about this team when we eliminate an European country in the playoffs. I think you guys can feel the path, right? I think, what do you guys
Right.
think? Am I
Yeah.
being.
Well, I'll say this though: don't overlook Japan. Though, do not overlook Japan. Japan really impressed me in the group stage, especially that 2-2 draw they had with the Netherlands in their opening match. I mean, and then they came back out in their second match. It dominated against was it Tunisia, I believe. They came out and dominated against. So I just really feel like Japan is a very solid team, and Brazil definitely needs to bring their A game here. And I still think Brazil is going to win this match. But I know you're obviously worried about a potential future match with a European squad, maybe like a Norway there in the round of 16, assuming
Yeah,
they get past Cote d'Ivoire. And I don't think that's a gimme for Norway either. Cote d'Ivoire has impressed me a lot. I
I,
mean, they had a lead deep into the second half against Germany.
and it's so interesting you brought that up. I think this matchup against Norway, I think is one of those breaking points where if you lose it, then you start to lose your respect. I don't know if I'm being too over dramatic, but when Brazil was eliminated by the European countries, you were the big one. France in '06, Netherlands 2010, Germany 2014. Okay, three World Cup, two World Cup champions, and Netherlands, which have been like runner up 3 times, and it's a legit big a powerhouse in soccer. Then two eliminations against, we can say, middle of emerging European countries. Belgium with the golden generation, De Bruyne, company, all. And then 22, you had the Croatian team led by Luka Modric. Okay, but and you brought and before we went on the air, you say, "Oh, how about Haaland and great talent?" But if Brazil has to be worried about Norway, then I feel like all that respect, all that aura, all that we are the country with most World Cups. We are the Brazil. It starts to fade.
Right, and I'm just looking at the bracket down below because I believe the L wouldn't that be England? I think 1L, like
Let me
more
see.
than
Yes,
likely.
England. Yeah.
So if you get past Norway, then I think more than likely it would seem like y'all would end up with England in the quarterfinals. I mean, you got Mexico right there. I'm not sure who that third place team they would play would be. But let's assume Mexico and England play each other in the round of 16, which I believe that match would be in Azteca, which that's an upset alert for me just because, it's a home match for Mexico. They're going to have the home crowd, but I do think England is far superior, a far superior side, but in a one-off match, anything can happen. So, and at that point, right, so the path for Brazil looks like obviously Japan, and then I would think Norway, and then let's say England, and then of course down there in the bottom, of course you got big bad Argentina. Man, Argentina's freaking path. I mean, I don't know who would be, say 2G. So
Yes, let me see.
uh,
2G. 2G
could,
is the group of Egypt, Iran, Belgium, and Norway. Belgium and New Zealand.
I think that probably I think it'll be Belgium and let's try. I think Belgium will be 2G. So I think Argentina, Belgium play in the round of 16, and then Argentina I would think would beat them, and then trying to think who's Group K.
Group K. Let me see. Group K. Group K. Hold on. Colombia and Portugal.
Okay, so we might get Argentina, Portugal then in the.
Really? Oh yeah, that's true. Oh my god, if that
But we
happens,
need Portugal to win the group though.
more likely they should. I mean,
So we might get Argentina, Portugal in the quarterfinals, and if Argentina were to beat Portugal, then you'd get Argentina, Brazil in the semis
but,
potentially.
let's go back to that quarterfinals, and we talked that before we went on here. If Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo will face each other, no matter what round, quarterfinals, semifinals, even finals, would that be the biggest ratings of all time in sports, in the world? I think so. I'm calling
But
it. It will
Yeah,
be the biggest clash of titans because you'll be like the last great matches of two players which have dominated the 21st century. Have dominated since at least 2007. So it has been like almost 20 years of total domination between those two. In the Spanish league, especially in the, I think their all time high were those matches in Barcelona and Real Madrid. Do you guys think will be the biggest clashes of titans between two players in the World Cup? I think so.
I
yeah.
think it would be.
Not just the World Cup overall, honestly.
Yeah.
We've all lived through some pretty big historic matchups in sports, not just soccer. Like thinking off the top of my head, Mayweather McGregor 10 years ago.
I think of some of those late stage Broncos Patriots. Some of the last
Yeah,
stage Manning versus Brady's.
um, Mahomes versus Brady as well. Crosby versus Ovechkin over this past year. But
Yeah, I mean,
with the international reach that soccer has, I think the numbers for that game would trump all of the examples we just gave.
it would. I'm thinking about salivating over the potential quarterfinals because what if we got Brazil, or we got Argentina, Portugal, Brazil, England, and then you got the U.S. versus Spain.
That would be a
That would
heck of
be
a
insane.
awesome.
I mean, it would be an unreal quarterfinal round if that goes down like that. And who would be at the top? Let's just go back to the top here. So you have Germany. So probably Germany, France, round of 16. maybe France Netherlands in the or maybe France Morocco in the quarterfinals.
I think more likely France and Netherlands.
God, the South Africa Canada is a pitiful round of 32
Yeah,
matchup.
even I know that's not a great one.
That's a car. So someone's going to get to the round of 16 off a technicality. That's terrible. How does that even happen?
That
Like
rules are rules.
yeah. I mean, honestly, South Africa. I think the South Africans pull that off, and they get obliterated by whoever wins Netherlands and Morocco. Basically, whoever wins Netherlands Morocco wins 2 matches. Basically, winning that match. Um, I, Germany has been good, but they haven't been great. I don't think Germany is going to get past France. France to me has been the best team at this World Cup so far. For this point, them or Argentina. So I think that's going to probably be Germany versus. I don't know. What do you think about that Netherlands Morocco? Because obviously you saw Morocco versus Brazil, and that was a very good 1-1 match. The Netherlands, they've been pretty impressive too. I feel like the Netherlands. I feel like I would slightly favor the Netherlands.
Yeah, I'm going with the Dutch too.
Yeah, me too.
So France versus the Netherlands, and I don't think Netherlands have what it takes. So then going down to that next quadrant, of course, is where hopefully where I would. At this point, I'm probably favoring Spain versus the U.S. because we have to see the rest of the draw really before locking that in. But let's get into the U.S. here because obviously the U.S. lost their last group stage match last night, 3-2 to Turkey. And frankly,
I like the way Colin Cowherd put perfectly. It was for the NFL fans. This was week 17 when you already made the playoffs and you put your backups.
Yep.
It's at that point. You always want to care when you're playing a game, but like you can pump the brakes a little bit. You don't got to go all in because you're doing fine. The U.S. is moving on to the next round. We can take a loss.
I'll be honest.
Oh, good.
I'll be honest. I totally fell asleep.
Oh, I did
in the
too.
second half of this one. But there was some good stuff in this game from the backups. But man, weren't there a ton of mistakes? So many mistakes on the defensive side, especially. And hey, congratulations to Turkey! You finally scored in the 2026 World Cup and got yourself 3 points. Hopefully that assuages the fans a little bit in Turkey because I still would not want to be them heading back to Turkey, considering the embarrassment of not getting through. But and also too, congratulations too to Hassan Piker as well because he had treated this as the biggest win ever. But all you got was an empty win over the USB team.
I mean, beating the United States in anything is kind of a big deal because we're looked at as an absolute powerhouse in basically anything competitive, regardless of how true that actually is. And just like with the significance of a country as big as the U.S., a victory over them in sports, that's kind of cool. I hate to say it because I'm obviously American, but hats off to them for being able to beat us.
Well, I mean, Turkey is a European squad, and they had a lot of expectations heading to this. A lot of people thought they were going to win this group, me included. I picked them to win the group.
Yeah, we did, right, Nick? We were all like, hey, Turkey, they have some tradition in the World Cup. They should be taken seriously.
I mean, they got dudes like Andre Guler, who plays for Real Madrid, I believe, right now, and they had quality on that squad. They just did not show up in those first 2 matches. I mean, they had I think 65 shots between Paraguay and the Paraguay and Australia matches. Had possession for 3/4 of the time and could not score one time. Just a lack of creativity from their coach, Vincent Mozzarella, I think. He'll be summarily fired, I'm sure, upon return to Constantinople. So, or Istanbul, whatever you want to call it. But it's, as you said, this was basically a Week 18 match. There's not a lot we can take from this outside of the fact of clearly, I think Freese is the goalkeeper moving forward. Matt Turner did not have a good match last night, giving up 3 goals. And I just can't wait to have, Pulisic back with Flo Balogun and to have that full frontline tack again. Because that was so much fun in the first match. And, with the Bosnia, Bosnia is a young team. They're a scrappy team. But as you said, guys, they've kind of underperformed so far in this World Cup. And obviously, this will be Super Bowl mode for Bosnia, their first ever knockout stage. But this is a match the United States should win.
Yeah.
And losing this would be a massive embarrassment.
I think will be. I think because we all talk about before this World Cup, what U.S. goals were for this competition. One of them was get the soccer momentum going, and this team is doing that. But being eliminated by a mediocre Bosnia team will kill off the momentum.
Right. Like, especially with the way you came out the gate swinging against Paraguay, right? Like, you got to at least stick the landing. Because, like, if you can make it to, like, the quarterfinals and get eliminated by Spain, fine. I think
I'll take that.
Yeah, we can accept that. But it would be crazy, though, like, if I went and – because, obviously I've been covering the Spain team some while they've been staying here in Chattanooga. So, if that ends up happening – conflict of interest, I'm sure. It'll be hilarious because whenever you go into the media center, it's mostly journalists from Spain, and then there's just a handful of us Americans that are in there. That'll get awkward, really fast.
Yeah, but I think as I don't because Americans I don't how can I say that, Nick? It's like I know you guys care about soccer, but you're not as passionate or as crazy as other Latin American countries that we were joked about. Hey, if Spain is playing United States and stay in Chattanooga, if that was like here in Brazil or Argentina, that would be like fireworks at 2 in the morning. People in the hotel trying to set off the smoke alarm.
Right, and it's going to be a truly fascinating situation. So if that happens, and of course, obviously, if we get that deep in the tournament, they'll be like, okay, what can we do? But obviously, you need to take care of Bosnia first, and then we need to figure out who we would have to play in the round of 16 before we really start dreaming about a potential quarterfinals run, which the U.S. has only done like twice in its history.
As that commercial that keeps airing on every channel says, in the words of Micah Zioni,
look
believe in
here.
miracles.
Look who's here. Jason Warhick saying, send Mark McKenzie home and speak for yourself. I'm a crazy and passionate. So I guess, Nick, Jason Warhick is going to set fireworks at a Spain and the hotel.
Look, hey, Jason, if we have to play Spain in the quarterfinals, I mean, you know what to do.
But yeah, that's true. You still got to beat Bosnia first. And Jason, if you want to join us, more than welcome to. And yeah, and I guess that it's going to be a good matchup.
I'm excited for it.
Absolutely. Just, take this one match at a time. It's a long road ahead. We got to beat the Bosnians. And the Bosnians are talented, so we can't overlook them. I mean, the U.S. in soccer cannot overlook anyone, right?
No.
But we come out with the same intensity we had against Paraguay, same intensity we had in Australia. And last night we just didn't have that same intensity. But once again, it wasn't our top line. And as Jason points out, guys like Mark McKenzie are not guys you're going to see again on the pitch this tournament. Just because last night was a night for Mauricio Pochettino to try out some things, and clearly we found out some things didn't work. And you're not going to see them again in this tournament.
Even if they don't play again, whoever wins this whole tournament, regardless of how much playing time you had, you still won the World Cup with your country, which that's awesome.
Right. and they got to represent their home country with their crest
Yeah,
at home, which
that's
is
like the
absolutely
biggest
amazing.
honor an athlete can receive, in my opinion. Like, sure, championships matter, but representing your country is just like
Okay, I think I've
really cool.
lost.
We lost Gus. It happens. But it's like it again. I keep pulling the 1980 Olympic team. The name, when it comes to international play, the name on the front is more important than the name on the back. And the great thing about the World Cup is everyone sort of recognizes that and is just going all in on
I'm gonna have to.
patriotism and representing their country. And now it's just me, boy howdy. um, but yeah, with international sports, you're not playing for yourself. You're not playing for a team that pays your salary, gives you several millions of dollars or whatever. You're playing for your country's flag and what it stands for and all that happy stuff. Um, Obviously, championships are a cool thing to receive and would be a massive honor for any player to include on their resume. But World Cup isn't really about that. The Olympics aren't about that.
Oh, all right. I am back. Yeah,
Me,
Uh,
sorry,
the
Dylan. Thanks for taking.
I successfully stalled. We're good.
yeah,
Yeah.
the audio just completely dropped out, so I had to come back in and back out. Uh,
It's not the first time I've had to stall. There have been some rock solid sports episodes where it was just me for a couple minutes.
Yeah, we used to.
yeah, that was a classic stalling tactic there. I'm trying to think.
Just went full Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, trying to think what else World Cup related do we need to talk about? I know, Dylan. There was one thing related to the World Cup, not exactly about the competition itself, but um, so George Kittle has put out a statement, and it's kind of more NFL about how the FIFA has required all these NFL stadiums to put in real grass turf or real grass instead of turf during this World Cup, and George Kittle is like, why can't we have this? Because he's like, we know that grass is healthier for our bodies than turf, yet the NFL still insists on having turf. Um,
And it's such an interesting discussion because in Brazil, there was a movement a couple of months ago led by Neymar, which also advocated against artificial turf. Here in Brazil, we have Palmeiras, the main stadiums, Palmeiras, Botafogo, Atlético Paranaense. I think those are the three. Oh, Atlético Mineiro as well. Those are like the four main, the biggest teams, stadiums that have artificial turf. And this is a very interesting debate.
and I'll say this as someone who, because my main experience of all this, right, like, is from marching band. So at the
Mhm.
part of the South Line at UT, we would practice on the practice field that was next to the gymnasium over there, and that was artificial turf. And I'll be honest, I never loved marching on artificial turf. It always felt really slippery, especially
Mhm.
like whenever it was wet and it was raining. Like that thing felt like you were marching on ice skates.
But what's
Uh,
the fake grass actually made out of? I'd imagine there's a bunch of different versions of it, but what is it like?
Mostly discarded rubber. Like
Ooh.
every time you like would march on it or play on it, like you'd have all these black little like rubber
Ah,
parts.
yeah.
And you'd have to dump it out every time. It wasn't the most fun thing. But then you go marching kneeling, and it's like, oh, this is nice grass. This
Oh,
feels
yeah.
natural. Yeah, I'll never get the first time I ever marched on artificial turf was at Alcoa High School for a competition. And I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm on like stable ground right now. It just feels slow, slick, and slow, slippery, and it threw me off marching wise.
Eh,
I can only imagine was like playing football on it.
It's in my very like we when I played hockey for the Naval Academy's youth program, when it was nice out, we did our like pre-padded off ice warm up stuff um, on their rugby field, which was right outside of the ice rink for some reason. And I remember one year it was real grass, which if you fell while doing any of the like quick cardio exercises, it's obviously not comfy, but you get back up, the ground is squishy, it's fine. But there was one year I fell on the artificial turf and slipped a little. That hurts a whole lot more just because of how unnatural it all is, because obviously it's not real grass, but there's not as much give to it as there is real solid earth. And in a sport as physical as football, and from what I've watched in soccer, people falling down all the time, I'd imagine hitting the ground really hard on artificial turf sucks, especially when you're going full speed. So I think they need to stick with the natural grass. It's just better. Sure, you have to go through more effort in maintaining it, but it provides jobs to people. It's great.
I like the 2 points that you brought up, Dylan. First one, here in Brazil at least, the biggest argument, the debate for the athletes in terms of artificial turf versus natural grass is the absorption of impact. A lot of players says that the injury related is higher in artificial grass compared to natural artificial turf compared to natural grass, because natural grass it has the mud, the that had to absorb it. Artificial turf is like hard, hard, concrete. Even Real Madrid, is dealing with a lot of injuries in the recent, seasons, and a lot of people are, starting to uh, relate that to the change from natural grass to artificial turf. And the NFL is even more, because the amount of collision and especially contact between the player and the surface is even higher than soccer.
I would agree. Yeah, absolutely. And it's grass. Like humans have gotten used to interacting with grass for thousands of years, and artificial turf is just something our bodies are not used to at all. And there's other questions about the safety of artificial turf in terms of the stuff that's made up, right? Like I remember seeing a news story a few years ago about a soccer player who believes it gave her cancer. And obviously, I can't scientifically prove a link between artificial turf and illnesses like that, but I mean, there are questions, right? Like we are used to being around grass, all different types of grasses, and some people have grass allergies and stuff like that. Um, but it's undeniably to me that the fields just look better with grass,
Yeah.
because you can tell that each region has different types of grasses. And it's just even for the domes, right? Like SoFi Stadium, like I mean, it's warm enough to have natural grass in it.
Yeah, it's sort of better represents the area.
One point that the presidents and you know CEOs of at least soccer clubs here in Brazil says that artificial turf makes the stadium more flexible in terms of going from a concert venue to a sporting arena, because when you makes your the surface where you play you know more flexible in terms of, because if you play natural grass and you put a concert structure like all that, people step on it, the where the artists play and everything, of course you're gonna make your field probably unusable, and you're gonna have to invest to recuperate to recovery. In artificial turf, you're practically just patching it back.
Yeah,
But like sports teams have the money to be able to replace real grass. Like I remember after Tennessee beat Alabama, fans absolutely destroyed that field. And there was a whole, everyone believed in the field maintenance crew in getting the field ready in time for, I think we played UT Martin the following week.
We had 3 straight games because we had to play UT Martin and then had to play Kentucky.
Exactly. It's the fact that Tennessee was able to get the field back to perfect playing condition after people broke their cigar cases, someone broke a bottle of Buffalo Trace bourbon on the field on accident, I think. And just the amount of people digging up the grass, stepping on it, whatever. It can be done. And all these big sports teams have the money to do it. They just, it's frustrating.
Oh yeah. It's just some people think it's cheaper to do artificial turf, but I
in
think
the long run it is, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Keep grass. I mean, that's the thing about humanity. We got to keep certain stuff. You know, we want to change too much.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick.
Yeah. Speaking of the World Cup, these late night games are about to start off here: Egypt, Iran, and Belgium, New Zealand. This feels like the spiritual successor to the Pac-12 After Dark.
I always hated those.
Yeah,
the only good thing about it is my brother went to Arizona State, so after a Tennessee game or being at a game at Neyland, maybe going out and celebrating for a bit, I'd come home and wind down by watching the Pac-12. But like, staying up this late is brutal to watch this.
Yeah, imagine the Europeans. I mean, this whole thing's happening at night.
They're passionate enough that they'll do it. They're just most definitely not happy about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about, like, in Belgium, it's got to be like 5.
Let me look at what time. What time is it in Brussels, Belgium right now? It is 4:58 a.m. over there.
As like in 2023, I woke up at 5 a.m. to watch the U.S. play. I think it was Australia in the Women's World Cup that year. So, well, in the World Cup, we all have to do it at some point.
Sacrifices must be made.
Yeah, for something that only happens every 4 years.
I'm trying to think of other. What time is it in Auckland, New Zealand?
There's probably actually it's got to be like noon.
Oh, 3 o'clock. Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's reasonable.
It's 3 p.m. on a Saturday. Like, this is a great time for New Zealand. For Iran, it's, well, how many people in Iran still have access to a television? But,
6:30 a.m. over there. And what time is it in Cairo? It is, did I get that? All right, it's 6 o'clock in Cairo right now. Tehran, it is, 6:30. I read that right.
How's Iran only a half hour ahead of Egypt? It feels like they should be way ahead.
I don't know. Time zones are weird sometimes.
I think Iran is one of those weird countries that create their own like time zone just to screw up everyone else. Because the Ayatollah Khomeini could, of course, the late Ayatollah Khomeini decided he could, I guess. I would get myself put on the radio watch list if I say anything else. But hey, go Mo Salah, I guess, to make things like less complicated moving forward for the U.S.
And Salah deserves a good run with Egypt because he's probably probably one of the most important players of all time. I know there's other ones, especially more in played with Al Ali, but yeah, it will be. And what's funny about Group G is that everything can happen. You might have, let's say, I think all nations have chance. because let's say Egypt, Iran. So let's say Iran wins, and then New Zealand wins. So you have a situation where if New Zealand and let's say Iran wins, they both go in.
I'm trying to think because right now it's Egypt 4, Belgium 2, Iran 2,
And New
New
Zealand
Zealand
won.
1. So if Iran won, that'd put them at 5, and then that would put New Zealand at 4. So in that case, Egypt would still go through because Egypt would have to head to New Zealand, but New Zealand would likely would definitely go through as a third place team at that point. So, like, yeah, whoever wins Iran, Egypt would definitely go through. And then Iran would advance with a draw, I believe. Although I don't know if there's any scenario where Egypt really. I'm trying to think, how would Egypt not advance? Because if Belgium.
How Egypt would not advance if it's simple. Iran wins, Belgium wins.
Yeah, but then
that'll
Iran
do
still
it.
has 4 points, so they should probably still get through as a third
No,
place.
they have 2. No, they will go 5 points, and Belgium will
Well,
go 5 points.
I'm talking about Egypt has 4 points.
Yeah, but if Iran beats Egypt, will Iran go 5 points? Belgium.
Right. What I'm saying is Iran would still be the third place team with 4 points, or Egypt would be the
Oh,
third.
I guess so. I guess pretty much Egypt is already in at this point.
Yeah.
It just matters of where they're ranked in the bracket.
And it's so funny that Belgium have a big chance of being eliminated. I know it's a big stretch, but if New Zealand beats Belgium and Iran draw, then Belgium's eliminated because it will be like Egypt 5, New Zealand 4, Iran 3, Belgium 2.
Yeah. See, the third place thing just makes it so much more complicated.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep. Because can you pull up what the current third place standings look like?
Yeah, I do have it. I do. But when I look at the bracket, it's weird. It doesn't show like, oh, this team's gonna face the 4th best third place. It just show groups, random groups.
Yeah, and like that formula, I still don't understand. But somehow we're guaranteed to play Bosnia for some reason.
Yeah, let me show here the. Hold on 1 second. Let me find it here. Oh, here it is. Oop. Yeah, so that's the groups and third place. So Sweden, Ecuador. I'll say Sweden, Ecuador, Bosnia, and Paraguay are in.
Yep.
Oh, I know what makes sense. Is it doesn't matter if you end up the best third place or third place. I think you play the groups, a certain group in that range.
Absolutely. So Senegal
Which is stupid. I think it's stupid. I think it was a stupid way. They should play, for example, let's say United States plays the second best third place or third best third place, not according to groups.
Right. But I think also too, it's just to keep it more fair because you want teams to have about a rough same amount of time of rest.
Yeah.
What you think about it's the old way, right? Because like Group A would play the second place of Group B, and so on and so forth. So it's still kind of similar-ish. Now, has anyone been eliminated down at the bottom? Because we still have 4 groups remaining. So Scotland's out. Probably.
Yeah, Scotland's out because they're 9th place and they already played 3 matches.
Yeah.
Uruguay too. Uruguay too.
Uruguay's out. Well, I guess actually not technically because like Algeria still has to play. Oh, Egypt's already scored.
Whoa!
Dang!
I'm watching the Belgium game. I chose, I guess, the wrong one.
Well, I've got it on multi-view here. It looks like Saber.
I miss multi-view. Multi-view.
Multi-view for these group stages is insane here. So
I gotta put that on. I'll be back.
Number 21, Saber here. So it looks like Egypt. They had a ball come into the box here, and they were able to get it right in the middle. Oh man! So the goalie for Iran had hit it back out right to Saber, and he just
What a
flicked
great
it.
shot in the right through. I think 4 or 5. Oh, the goalkeeper let it through, and the defender put it in.
Oh, that's brutal.
That was brutal.
Oh man!
Oh my god.
It's crazy how common. I've seen it a couple times in this tournament, and it's that's probably one of the worst, most humiliating things you can do as an athlete is score on your own team.
So right now with the live standing, so obviously Egypt would top the group with 7 points. Belgium, if this were to finish a draw, would advance at 0-0 with 3 points. But Belgium, is going to want to come out and prove a point against New Zealand because New Zealand's not very good.
Which is surprising.
Yeah, we were having this debate in the group chat the other day about New Zealand, about how, for me, I think they should go to the AFC because, Australia left Oceania to go play in the Asian Football Confederation, which I think makes them a better squad, at least in my opinion. Because in Oceania, you're not getting pushed by all these island nations over there.
Again, I made that argument. New Zealand, I wouldn't move. New Zealand is not big on soccer. Their main their best team on their league, Auckland City, is a semi-pro team. So why are you gonna change, confederations and go to a confederation which, is one of the hardest in all over the world? There you have Japan, Egypt, Australia. No, not Egypt. I'm sorry, Japan. You have South
South
Korea.
Korea. Qatar somehow continues to make it out of Asia for some reason.
Even Saudi Arabia. I know they were just eliminated World Cup, but in terms of teams, because for if you think about, like, New Zealand has a representation in the soccer world because of where they are and what confederation they play. If they go to the AFC, which is the confederation for for Asia, they're gonna disappear into the ether. They're not gonna ever make another World Cup. They're never gonna make another FIFA Club World Cup. So it's like, I'm good where I'm staying, because if I go to another confederation, that's the Asia one, I will be irrelevant.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you're ultimately right. I just wonder if there's anything they can do to make themselves better, but I guess that's just a desire. They have to have a want to do that.
Yeah, no, and they're already happy with, hey, we are guaranteed a spot in the main soccer competitions in the world. Why would I want to change that, perspective?
The Iranians got a guy down.
Yeah, and to me, so far early on, Belgium is dominating this game in possession so far. It shouldn't be much time at all before Belgium finds their way into the back of the net with the way this is going. Of course, Belgium's been underwhelming so far for 2 matches. They're kind of in a very similar situation that Uruguay was in. But thankfully, unlike Uruguay, who had to play Spain, Belgium has the opposite of playing New Zealand.
So a point why I want to make really quick, watching the replay of the Iranian player fall. With the natural grass, there was some give when his knee was driven directly into the field. If you did that on artificial turf, that would have been a lot more severe injury.
That's very true. I can tell they just look more comfortable playing.
Yeah.
Oh, we might. I thought Belgium was going to have a shot there.
Multi-view is awesome.
Is this going to be a penalty for? Oh no, it is a penalty. Okay, so it looks like Iran has a penalty right now.
Whoa!
I don't know what happened. but the
I'm with.
Iranians are looking to
I'm,
tie.
I'm 9 minutes and 50 seconds into the Belgium game.
I
All
am
right.
9:15 now,
Dude.
so I think you're
Oh, but he
slightly.
saved it.
Dang.
Oh man, it was a penalty for Iran, but they missed it. The Egyptian goalie saves it.
Whoa!
Oh wow. Yeah.
I wish.
Wow.
That's fun.
And Belgium almost scored. I mean, it's a matter of time for them to score. They're dominating against New Zealand, and it's such a pity that we cannot react to the image of the game, because if I show it for 1 second, my YouTube channel is doomed. I'll say that.
Yeah, I will say because I made a news package the other day with like U.S. and Australia. So I almost felt
Oh,
like
Belgium scored. Belgium. Is it or isn't it?
You are
How
very ahead of me now.
yeah, how the hell? Because I'm at 10, 14, 10, 15, 10,
13,
16.
I am
14,
1050.
15.
I'm watching on
36.
YouTube on Kazet TV. So
I'm gonna blame. It's probably just the local Fox affiliate here that's super behind
so
because FS1 is.
and I forgot to tell you guys about a debate we have here. So I don't know if you guys had this debate in America, but I guess it's gonna come sooner than ever. So in Brazil, the biggest debate now is delay of broadcasting, which we are experiencing right now. So the main channel, which is global, the Fox of Brazil, in terms of the uh, antenna, the cable channel showing the game, pretty much made a campaign for people to buy antennas. The ones that you can buy on the supermarket,
Uh-huh.
and to get digital antennas for people to you know get them on the TV and be like, hey, with the antenna there'll be no delay, you get the going instantly, and you'll be ahead of people watching it from YouTube, which is Kazé TV. But
Mhm.
Kazé TV has all the rights for the 104 matches, global and SBT, those Fox and CBS of Brazil. They can only show half of the matches. So for example, in the Argentina game, they were making fun of it, of those channels, be like, oh, you want to watch Argentina, there's no delay today because those other networks are broadcasting soap operas. But the rivalry is on, and it's gonna come sooner or later, because in the near future, I bet it's like
Oh, then the Iranians have been leveled.
their level.
Yeah, it is
Dang.
level. Man, so like the Egyptian goalie had made another save, but then it rebounded back off to an Iranian player, and it's 1-1 in Seattle.
Whoa.
Match is on between the two. Well, I guess they're
This is
not.
good.
Well, I guess between
I,
the
I
two
might
Middle Eastern countries.
I might change game, because I'll be like, hey, let me put the Belgium game because you'll be more goals. But let me see if I want to watch the Iran and Egypt game. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're going to show you now the Iran goal. Number 23, Ramin, I guess, the one who scored. And it's so
yeah.
interesting, Iran scoring on American soil.
Yeah.
It's still
Oh my God,
feel.
how is that not offside? Do you see that one? I don't know if they showed you the
No, it's
offside.
offside. The guy on the top gave it total it's completely
Ooh.
onside. Let me check. He go.
I'll
It's all
take your guys'
legal.
word for it.
It's all good. There's no
How
there's no
did
offside.
that is a crazy shot from the baseline. I mean, he had maybe 3 inches to get that between the post and the goalie. So right now, as it stands, Iran would be going through if the scores remained 1-1 and 0-0. Belgium has got to find a way to score. And Belgium's going to have, I think, a ton of chances because this game, I think, is primarily going to be played on the New Zealand half of the field, although New Zealand is trying to get some pressure up. But wow, what a start to this last half. This could be the most banger duo of the day right here. Because now France just came out and just walloped Norway early today to put that one to bed. And then, of course, Senegal absolutely dominated Iraq to probably put themselves in. And I want to say this when it comes to Senegal, isn't it funny that they finally benched Nicholas Jackson and then they finally started scoring at will? That's kind of funny. See, Mo Salah about to do a corner, it looks like, for the Egyptians. Yeah, but of course, we'll keep an eye out on all of these games right here. But I do want to get to some other American sports here. I do want to start real quick in college football with some news related to the Vols. So one of our big transfer commits that we got for earlier this offseason, Chas Coleman, the defensive end from Penn State. Well, it looks like he will never touch the field in orange as he has been, quote, medically disqualified from the Vols. This has been an ongoing saga between him and Tennessee. He never showed up for spring camp, never showed up for summer camp. And once again, the Vols get burned in the transfer portal. It's just increasingly frustrating. And, like, I don't know how much you can pin this on Tennessee versus just the current state of college football. You know, like, it's insane that, you can get players with this much power to where they can demand millions of dollars and then just not show up. Like,
I don't want that kind of attitude on my team. I'm fine with it. He's not going to put in the work, we don't need him on the roster.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we don't need that drama.
It's the same argument we had with Nico a few years ago. So,
like, I do have to ask this question about Heupel. Like, it feels like we are continuing running into this situation with high drama athletes. Of course, with Nico, with Boo Carter, for example, and now with the situation with Chas Coleman. Is there a misevaluation happening here? Are we ignoring potential character concerns? James Pierce, it's another example of a guy where, like, we thankfully didn't have any issues in Knoxville, but we saw what happened, unfortunately, this past offseason with Rakea Jackson. I'm getting a little concerned about perhaps the program from a discipline standpoint. Maybe it's an unfair concern, but it just feels like, and to be fair, right, Georgia clearly has like a player arrested every week. So, it doesn't necessarily mean the Vols are going to like not win games. But, I feel like especially early on, the first 2-3 years of Heupel, we had no issues at all. Like, it was fantastic. But it does feel like the program has had at least some off-the-field issues.
How long has NIL been legal? Did that happen before or after Heupel?
After Heupel.
Okay. So this is just a thing that's been happening and not something that's as a result of. I think Tennessee just needs to do a better job at evaluating character.
We need a GM. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Heupel, more and more programs have a GM. And I get the old way of doing it, right, is that the head coach is his own GM. But at some point, like, especially with the contracts and stuff, like, we got to have a GM. You got to have the business-minded individual up there. And I know it just basically means it's pro sports, but at this point it is pro sports.
Yeah.
It just is what it is when it comes to the Vols. And I think Heupel needs to hire a GM.
No, and I think one thing that goes even broader than Tennessee Volunteers, I think it goes to college football, even college athletics as a whole. And I mean, we saw what happened even in Florida. I think with that, there's even if I'm correct, there's even a lawsuit.
Yeah, you're talking about Jaden Rashada.
Yeah, Jason Rashad. I think. I mean, college athletics, someone needs to sit down and be like, okay, we open the Pandora's box. Okay, we tear down the Berlin Wall. But now we have to figure out what kind of society are we? What kind of, sports organization are we? Are we pro? Are we amateur? What are we? Like, what is college football right now? Like,
Well, I mean, it's turning into a political pissing match because you do have an act that's on the floor in Congress. I know Ted Cruz is pushing for it. But what's interesting is the SEC and Big Ten are rallying against it severely, while all the other conferences seem to be for it. So, what does that tell you? The SEC and Big Ten clearly want to be the head honchos, and they don't want the federal government to step in and become the head honchos. And it feels like
the Big Ten even more, because the Big Ten, they had two things that they always couldn't be in advantage of, and NIL kind of open up, which be the legal channel to pay players, and also have the smartest people to use that to be ahead of everybody, because a lot of people say that the SEC were always on top, where they were able to do that under the table, and the Big Ten schools didn't want to go there. Probably Ohio State were the only one who went there, kinda, because a lot of people even point out that Ohio State was kind of like the SEC school in the Midwest. But when NIL came, I mean, we saw the biggest example of all, Indiana Hoosiers. Who would have thought in 2025 they would have won the national championship? And they did.
Right. And it makes you think what other Big Ten schools, like, that just have deep coffers are going to suddenly become good again, But, like, if the Congress doesn't ultimately pass this act, this, quote, Save College Sports Act, if it doesn't get passed, then inevitably I think you're looking at a super league between the SEC and the Big Ten. It's what's going to happen, because there's going to have to be some sort of organized rules eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the NCAA, as it stands, has been completely nerfed as an organization, and it deservedly so. Deserved to be nerfed as an organization.
Do you know what the NCAA is right now? The NCAA right now is the Communist Party in East Germany after the Berlin Wall fell.
Great comparison.
It was pointless. I mean, they technically still ruled the country, but after the Berlin Wall fell, they didn't have the upper hand, the iron fist there. So people just be like, okay, whatever. No. I think the NCAA is the communist country, the Communist Party in East Germany after the Berlin Wall fell.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee, Tennessee and all these other teams, we're running to Romania and Hungary, trying to escape.
Yeah.
So we're waking up like in 2022. We woke up in West Berlin.
Yeah, basically that.
Because one could say that Jeremy Pruitt was basically who is the communist guy with the funny like pot?
Gorbachev.
Gorbachev. Yeah, he was basically Gorbachev. But no, Butch Jones was Gorbachev. Like he sold us a nicer version of trash, but ultimately it was still communism. That may not be the greatest comparison.
I love
that checks out entirely 100%. I've been reading a ton of Cold War books lately, so
I've been doing great comparisons between communist regimes and NCAA since 2019. That's one of the biggest achievements ever. Is comparing NCAA and the communist regimes. I did that even on Rockstar Sports. I remember vividly.
That's hilarious. I love that. It's such a good comparison. It works. Like recently, like I was covering a court case, and I was trying to explain to some other people what the jury had ruled, and use like Nashville hot chicken to explain that the jury didn't convict the guy of the maximum penalty, but like of a lesser penalty. So they chose the mild sauce instead of the hot sauce. So anyway, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens here. Also, we can't forget about our favorite player, Brendan Sorsby, as well, while we're on this topic. So after the Big 12 came after the Texas Tech. He said, all right, fine, I'm going to the NFL supplemental draft. But so earlier this week, the NFL said, you know what, we're not going to have a supplemental draft. You can enter into our draft next year, potentially.
That's rough.
And then Brendan Sorsby tried to go to the CFL, and then the CFL said, nope, you're not eligible this year. Sorry. And then now the Sorsby trying to sue the NFL through the NFLPA, which then begs the next question. How can he sue with the NFLPA? He's never been in the NFL. It doesn't make any sense.
Like he's forgetting one option, the UFL. Give that a go.
Good God, this guy is, this guy is poison. Like,
I wouldn't want him on my team.
No.
But like, why are you wanting him on his team? Like, do you want to have trouble? Like, I don't know. Why would you?
Like, how many lawsuits is this guy involved in right now? He's involved in probably like 3 or 4. Because he sued the NCAA. He sued. They're in legal trouble with the Big 12. He's trying to sue the NFL. Maybe he'll try to sue the CFL. If he tries to go to the UFL, can he sue them? Maybe the Arena Football League will take him. Maybe
still a thing.
I mean, maybe a prison football league needs a quarterback. like Henry Ruggs needs someone to throw to him in prison. Terrion Arnold's going to have someone to cover in prison. Which, by the way, biggest idiot of the year, Terrion Arnold. I mean, you're a first-round draft pick for the Detroit Lions, and he hasn't been great, but you're still playing. You're still starting for a legitimate contender in the Lions, at least playoff contender. And then, so basically, what this guy did, Gus, if you didn't see, so in Florida, he had gotten robbed, like while on vacation in Florida. So a normal person, right, would call the police. He decided, all right, well, we're going to one-up them, goes back, and allegedly, according to police affidavits, and I'm going to qualify that since I'm a journalist, and that's what we do. It's attribute. According to this police affidavit, he and his buddies decided to show up, hold the people at gunpoint who robbed him, kidnap them, and then retake all their stuff back. So now he's charged with aggravated robbery and kidnapping. So he is being held on no bond. As revenge for getting robbed himself. Like how stupid can you be? And he's probably ruined his entire NFL career. Oh, and Belgium have scored.
It's funny. I changed the game and the goal happened.
Yeah. So that will put that in the last chance will put Belgium in, and I believe Egypt would be in right now. But But Terrion Arnold, that's just a stupid decision. And you have to be sick if you're a Lions fan, because you could have had Cooper DeJean there at that pick in 2023. If you're looking for a cornerback, and the Lions have had bad luck with cornerbacks, like Jeff Okudah, for example, was a bust. Now Terrion Arnold. And now you're here in late June now without your quarterback one. So that's a tough position, particularly in a division, right, where you got to deal with Caleb Williams twice a year. You now have Jordan Love twice a year. Can Kyler Murray with Justin Jefferson get cooking, right? Because if Kyler Murray is good with Justin Jefferson, I mean, those are 6 games a year you're facing insane offenses. As the Detroit Lions, like that could get bad in a hurry for that defense, given the situation. So that just an awful situation for Detroit.
Yeah, it's but nothing tops Isaiah Wilson. Nothing will top that.
Right. Well, yeah, Isaiah Wilson played 4 snaps total in the history of his career, and it was like free kneel downs, and then he got pancaked on an extra point. Ooh. So really one actual play. Just what a waste of a pick that was. Hey, Chas Coleman's Tennessee career is very similar. 0 snaps for the Vols. Oh, man. At least Chas Coleman never lost Tennessee a football game. Yeah, always remember that. All right. Speaking of Vols, though, more positive news though. On the basketball side, we got to shout out some of our basketball volunteers. 3 of them got drafted. Of course, obviously headlined by Nate Ament, number 13 overall to the Milwaukee Bucks, who we'll have to talk about them in a moment, the major move that they made. Shout out as well to Jacoby Gillespie going to the San Antonio Spurs, the runner-ups to the New York Knicks here recently. And then Felix Akara going to your Washington Wizards.
Oh,
Dylan.
That's fun.
Of course, that's not the headline for Washington. They had the number 1 overall pick and took A.J. DiBentanza, which for the Washington Wizards is the best thing to happen to them in about 15 years. So getting the number 1 pick.
It's as a Wizards fan, we don't have much to be excited about. So we'll take what we can get.
So I'm still sad that the Pacers did not get one of those top 4 picks to add to what would be a lethal roster next year, but it is what it is.
I fully believe within the next couple of years, all of the good picks the Wizards have made this year, the year before, whatever, all those guys are going to leave DC and end up in LA or Boston or one of the wealthier markets that can actually afford to pay good players, just because that's how basketball works.
Yeah,
and it sucks to see.
Speaking, another good thing. Speaking of DC, the NFL draft is heading to the U.S. Capitol in 2027.
That'll be fun.
Take place on April 29 to Saturday, May 1st, 2027. So I guess Dylan Becker, it's something fun for you to go.
I'll be our representative at the draft. I just gotta, as long as I'm in the city for it, honestly, I'll watch it and have fun.
So it's funny that the 2027 NFL draft will take place across iconic locations throughout the city. I want to go with the National Mall anchoring the NFL Draft Theater in front of the Capitol, and the NFL Draft Experience spanning through Pennsylvania Avenue and Northwest between 3rd and 4th Street. So I guess the main place would be the National Mall.
Yeah, I mean, that if they're gonna do anything, you might as well do it there.
And the announcement was made in the White House. I think we have Trump even talking about it during today.
Interesting.
Okay.
So what's going to be interesting is the one spot they didn't choose there is FedEx Field, because no one wants to go to FedEx Field.
Well, won't the new stadium be ready by 2027? I think.
No, it's going to be like 2029, I believe. But what sucks though? Like, I wish they had this new stadium ready for this World Cup, because I think DC hosting the World Cup final would have been electric.
And
2030, okay.
And if you think about it, because in Brazil back in 2014, the capital Brasilia built an entire 65,000 seat stadium to host the World Cup, because the argument was like, how can the capital of the country, not have how can the capital of Brazil be outside of the World Cup?
Yeah.
And I would see that the capital of the United States is not on it, so it wouldn't make a difference.
I like FedEx Field's a dump.
No, but
I mean,
but if you really think about it, like if the U.S. would be forced to, they would have found a way. But it just shows how pointless is like, the capital has to be on. No, like if the capital of the country has the stadium to host it, yeah, but you don't need to build a new one from scratch.
So an idea that just sort of popped in my head. It's been sort of done before in DC sports. The Commanders and the Nationals used to play at RFK Stadium. They'd share the field. It would be a massive capacity reduction, but if DC were to have hosted a World Cup game, actually, this wouldn't work now that I'm speaking it out loud because we're in the middle of baseball season. Could they have hosted just one game at Nats Park, you think? If the Nats were on like a week-long road stretch or something? It's 41,000 seats.
I don't know because I don't know FIFA. You saw how they're doing with the stadiums they're using it. They want to take full command on it. They would have make
its identity.
Yeah, they would have scrapped their identity. How can you go back and forth? It's not like going from Major League Baseball to Major League Soccer and back to MLB. Like when FIFA takes over a stadium, like forget using for a couple of weeks. Of course,
it really take that long.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're just discussing literally FIFA altering the grass of the field. So they would have changed.
I mean, they put up all these pieces of tape to block out sponsors and everything else. Like the security, like they don't allow drones around the stadium, and
I don't know. I'm not a grass scientist. Okay, compromise. What they could have done is the closest stadium they could have gotten to DC probably would have been M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Now, the issue with that, I don't think Baltimore has like they can't host. I wouldn't trust the city of Baltimore to host a World Cup. The area around the stadiums is a little sketch.
A little sketch, Dylan. A little sketch. You be very kind.
Look, I'm just used to it.
I've been there. I've been there.
Do like the Wire as like the opening ceremony.
Because one of my vivid memories when I kind of went back and forth from Knoxville to DC, when my ex-girlfriend was there, I had a Baltimore experience. I visit Oriole Stadiums was nice and all, but I was like, hey, I'm here, I might see what Baltimore has to offer. And then one of those like not, I don't remember it's not a bike, it's the thing that you like you could rent a scooter.
Okay, yeah.
Like I rent a scooter, and I did that. And I was like, okay, let's see the area around MT Bank Stadium, because I knew they didn't have a tour or anything. I saw the area. I was like, hell no. And then I went there, and then after that, I went to the bus station that was there to catch the back, because there were no trains. There were no trains back to DC until like late in like the afternoon, and I had to get back at lunchtime. And I was like, oh my God, I hope I don't come back, there soon.
Look, I'll say this, Gus. That's the nice part of Baltimore.
God.
I've seen them. I got some stories that we'll talk about another time because they're not sports related. But again, around the stadiums is the nice part of Baltimore. You don't go anywhere else.
Now, I want to go to like the Walter Arts Museum. That's the one place in Baltimore I want to go to.
I'm exaggerating a little bit because like there's other nicer sections, like Fort McHenry's great. That's great, but like it's
man,
Baltimore's rough.
Yeah, it doesn't have the. I've never been to Baltimore, but just based off the reputation.
You're not missing anything. You can order crab cakes online. I'll send you a link to the proper place to get them from.
Well, I'll just go to like Southern Maryland. Like, so my dad is born in Lexington Park, Maryland, on a naval base. He grew up here.
College Park was nice. College Park.
Okay, College Park's a little sketch, but
Well,
Nah,
Lexington Park is different from College Park. Lexington Park
no,
is like
I
an
like
hour south.
College Park was nice. It was a little old, but it's not. I don't consider maybe my sketchy levels are different, but I was fine, not great.
I know people who lived there and they said it was a little sketch. I'll take their word for it. But it's as long as you're on campus in College Park at University of Maryland, you're fine. Um,
What about DC itself? I've heard DC at points can be very sketch.
yeah, I've haven't had any super problems in DC. I know like the Capitol Police and Secret Service don't mess around when it comes to you doing anything wrong. Um, uh, DC can be rough. The worst that I can think of is I don't super remember it. My dad just told me about it. We were going to a Caps game, we'll say 20 years ago, and my dad just randomly picked me up and put me on the other side of him because he saw that there were a bunch of cops surrounding. There was just a gun on the ground outside the metro station by the stadium or by Capital One Arena. So like, there's that going on. Near Nats Park isn't great. That's all I can really say about because I don't really venture outside of those two areas very often. They've been having issues with the nicer parts being trying to find the. I guess the news has been calling them teen takeovers, where like they're going into like the nice parts of DC and throwing chairs and disrupting business and stuff.
It's like the Kia boys, basically. They're
Yeah,
going in
yeah,
and being
yeah,
disruptive. Got it. Gotcha.
yeah. DC, I feel safer in DC than I do Baltimore. So the issue, getting back on track, I think DC would be better suited to host a major event like the World Cup rather than Baltimore. In fact, I'll make a prediction right now. As a stepping stone to that, I think we'll say within the next 10 years, DC is going to host the Super Bowl, I think.
Oh,
I
with the new
definitely could
city
see
for
that.
sure. Yeah, I can definitely see that too.
Well, like there's murmurs that we might try to bid for the 2038 World Cup.
I'm all
Nah,
for it.
probably.
We could try.
But no, FIFA won't. I think because I think what is gonna go probably Asia at this point because no, I guess
I
South.
wouldn't get that.
No. Asia is gonna go to 2034 because yeah, there's my chance because 2030 you I guess you can consider South America and Europe. Then you're gonna go to Asia in 2034. Oh, I guess gonna go in 2030. I guess gonna go to Europe. Europe has to be back because then at this point Europe wouldn't have hosted the World Cup technically since 2018, but in because then Russia was the same federation as all the other back then was the UEFA. But if you go even back then, the last time a true European country hosted the World Cup was 2006 with Germany.
Ooh,
Yeah, because Russia, let's be real, they're at this point they're the pariahs of Europe. They're not
Yeah,
really Europe.
yeah.
and they only play in the European Confederation, but I guess the EU wants far from Russia than ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they made that.
I think a World Cup in Japan would be pretty cool.
They already
They
had that
did
in
that.
2002.
Let's run it back.
Yeah, please. Maybe damn Brazil will win it because the last time Brazil won the World Cup was there in Japan in Yokohama.
You know what I'm shocked is we
Perfect.
haven't done it in China yet. Or India. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
give one of those two, like give China or India a chance to actually be in the World Cup for once.
yeah, that's fair because then finally India is gonna make the World Cup because I still it still baffles me then a country with a billion people can find 11 players to somewhat decent. And I'll say win it, but at least make it.
Yeah.
I mean, it going against China hosting it. We're bringing this up again.
Well,
One of our
obviously,
one
I'm
of
not for it.
one of our favorite bits on Rock Solid Sports was bashing the Chinese national hockey team for not having it together. So we just didn't understand why. I get all the other Winter Olympic sports the Chinese were good at, but it was just making fun of the Chinese hockey team was well just they're the laughing stock of international hockey. Is the Chinese national soccer team, can they be compared to the Chinese national hockey team
I,
in
I
skill
mean,
quality?
soccer in China has in a weird spot where they had a lot of investment from companies that were backed by the Chinese government,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that to try to make it soccer popular. I mean, in the mid 2010s, they pretty much bought all the players they want. They even got, if Jason's still watching, they went and got Oscar from Chelsea. They
Mm-hmm.
got a lot of Brazilian players. They got like international coaches. A lot of high profile soccer players and coaches were there, but then it all fell apart, the because of the cut of funding, and after that the amount of corruption and match fixing issues. So China is trying to rebuild soccer.
So I think basically, even if they can afford it, I don't think it'd be a good idea to host or for a country that can't put together a decent team to host a World Cup. Like, sure, the U.S. has struggled a lot, but I think the U.S. is good enough to have been considered a host, and I'm happy that we have been selected. But as for like China, it's if they're not up for the competition, then I don't think they should host.
But yeah, but hosting a World Cup has nothing to do with being competitive. It's about lure somewhat some way FIFA that you're competent enough to have state of the art
Yes.
stadiums and a good infrastructure. Yeah, look at the last World Cup host, Qatar. What Qatar, they had nothing on soccer. They were like irrelevant, and they were able to find a way to show FIFA they were com- uh, good enough to host in
My,
terms
my
of.
I guess my logic with it is with host countries automatically qualifying, that 100% makes sense. It's your country. You should be
Yeah.
included in the tournament. But again, it's if you can't put together a good team, it just feels pointless.
Oh, FIFA doesn't care about that. FIFA cares about finding countries to put a lot of money in a tournament that they are not gonna get probably little return.
I guess
And
that's
FIFA.
fair.
I mean, it's so incredible that FIFA still have like a monopoly, and also we're able to, because the biggest argument of all in the past was like, if you bring the World Cup, you have a lot of things that were a legacy on it. You have new transportation, new infrastructure, airports, and a lot of things, and that's not true.
Hmm.
You just need to build stadiums and make the infrastructure that you have to work.
So, like, the
Hmm.
U.S. is one of the few countries that really, we didn't really have to build anything for this. Like, all of
Yeah.
our stadiums were already here. Transportation, whatever public transit we do have was already there. I mean, you know, it's not like Qatar where they had to build everything with slave labor.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what we were talking about. I think we were
Uh,
NBA. We were at the NBA draft, and then we somehow got into the NFL draft, and we went on this tangent. So I'm going to bring it back to the NBA draft.
yeah, I remember. It's because I went on a whole tangent about how DC is a little sketch and Baltimore's sketch, and yeah, we're back.
Okay, so obviously deep in talking to the Wizards. One point I did want to make about some of the top picks. I think the Jazz made a big mistake picking Darren Peterson over Caleb Boozer. So Caleb Boozer, he went to the Memphis Grizzlies at free. I think Peterson is severely overrated. I mean, this guy was a drama queen at Kansas, barely played, was constantly injured, and just there's all kinds of drama around him. And I don't think I get he's a very talented basketball player, but I think Boozer is just far better than Peterson is. And I think the Grizzlies are lucky that they ended up with him at three. And the Bulls ended up with Caleb Wilson at four. And I like Wilson a lot. I think he was very dynamic at UNC, but he is coming off of an ACL injury in February. So you have to wonder what his explosiveness is going to be like off of that ACL injury. But I do want to circle back to the Milwaukee Bucks because that was obviously the story of the week. Finally, the ballad of Giannis Antetokounmpo is finally over in Milwaukee. After years at this point of being begged to be traded out of Wisconsin, he finally got his wish, and he's been like one of the greats once said, he's taking his talents to South Beach because Giannis is going to be on the Miami Heat alongside Bam Adebayo. And I guess a bunch of fifth graders because the Miami Heat basically traded away the rest of their team in order to get Giannis. And like Tyler Harrow, for example, went to Milwaukee among several picks. And I'm going to be honest, I think the Miami Heat severely overpaid for this trade. Giannis obviously is great. He's an NBA champion, MVP. But yeah, okay, I think Giannis's best years are behind him. He's been kind of injured the past couple of years. He clearly hasn't been in the game with this whole trade situation. And when you look at the Heat, like it's Giannis and Bam Adebayo, and like that's a good 1-2 punch. But I don't think they're better than the Knicks. I don't think they're going to be better than the Pacers when they have Halliburton back. I don't think they're going to be better than the Cavaliers. I don't think they're going to be better than the Pistons. Like I just or the Celtics. Like I think the Heat right now, with Giannis, are about the sixth best team in the East. I don't think they're a championship contender. And if you're the Miami Heat and you make a trade like this, you're making a trade like this to compete for a championship. And they're not, and to me, this is not a championship type trade for the Miami Heat. I think they severely overpaid. And I think they say the Boston Celtics from themselves. Because apparently the Bucks were really wanting to trade him to the Celtics. But the Celtics decided it was too high of a price to pay. What do you think about that, Gus?
Yeah, I mean it's
Now I can't hear you. I'm gonna have to come in and come back.
no, yeah, it happens. So I guess we're here. Dylan is. I think he was back. Let's wait for Nick to be back too. Yeah, they're both back. So hi guys, where
All
you guys
right.
are back.
All right, time for round two of this. So, Gus, kind of what's your thoughts on that Giannis trade?
Oh yeah, Giannis definitely was one of those trades where he needed a new, you know, new environment. Of course, he'll be always remembered for the title in Milwaukee, but the Miami Heat need to be aggressive. They it's kind of like when they got Jimmy Butler. They need to find one of those kind of semi-veterans to be the leader of the team. And I think Giannis wanted to go to a bigger market.
Well, I'll say this too when it comes to Butler and Miami. Yes, the Heat somehow made two finals with Jimmy Butler. Now, one of those was, of course, the bubble, which how much can you really take from the bubble? I mean, I've always said, while people like to say the Lakers won a Mickey Mouse championship, right? That was still a playoff series. That was still playoffs, and those count. And obviously the Heat and their miracle run in 2022 when they made the finals as an 8 seed, that was a very impressive feat. But the Heat have been just mediocre this entire time and lucked into two finals runs where they were summarily dispatched by the Lakers and the Nuggets simultaneously. So I'm not convinced that the Heat are going to win a championship with Giannis.
I think they could at least be competitive.
I mean, they'll be good. I just, as I said, I don't think they're better than the Knicks. I don't think they're better than the Pacers. I don't think they're going to be better than the Pistons. So we'll just see. We will see what happens with the Miami Heat. Probably the other major trade of the week, though, Charlotte Hornets have said sayonara to LaMelo Ball. They traded him away.
Oh, I did go in.
They traded, well.
Oh, it's halftime. Never mind.
I have to say, yeah, both games are at halftime. Belgium up 1-0, and then Iran and Egypt are level at 1-1.
My internet has been absolutely diving on my TV, so it just like I can't even tell what's what anymore.
Yeah, so Charlotte traded away LaMelo Ball to Minnesota, which to me is a very interesting move because LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards in the same backcourt is volatile, but it could work.
One thing that I'm curious is, I remember vividly back in the early 2020s, one of the great series I watched was the LeVar Ball family. They had even I remember I was on Facebook like a docu series showing the Ball brothers, LaMelo, those three brothers. So and I was surprised. I thought the only one who wouldn't make it is still in the NBA. The other two, I guess, the middle brother went to Europe and were never good enough for the NBA. And the old one is he still playing?
No, yeah, Lonzo's in. I think he's playing for the Bulls. I think. But like obviously he's a role player. He's not like a superstar.
And yeah, and it's funny that the dad completely disappeared. Like, what's LeVar Ball up to now?
Well, I think he stepped out of the way for LaMelo, who, to be fair, LaMelo Ball acts like a Georgia football player with the way he allegedly drives around Charlotte. But now it's going to be Minneapolis instead. Because when you look at the Timberwolves, right, you got those two, right, Edwards and Ball in the background, backcourt, and you got Rudy Gobert at center. So like that's not a bad team at all. Like that's a team that should score a lot of points. Can they play defense? The Timberwolves have had one of the better defenses over the past couple of years, and of course having guys like Rudy Gobert is very very clutch and very big in that decision and in that ability to play defense. But can they be mature? Because there's been question about LaMelo Ball's maturity. He's not exactly like LaMelo Ball hasn't played a single playoff game in the NBA, right? Anthony Edwards has done some questionable stuff off the court. So we'll see if they can, grow up together and become that duo. But the West, the West is hard, right? I mean, obviously we know what San Antonio and Oklahoma City have. Wemby's not going anywhere. Oklahoma City with SGA is not going anywhere. Jokic is still in Denver. Luka's down in Los Angeles with, I guess we got LeBron still because he hasn't retired. So LeBron's just going to continue forever because he's a robot, I guess. I mean, I think Golden State's probably on the twilight. They're probably not really going to be that relevant. I mean, Houston was pretty good last year, but can they have an offense in the playoffs this time? The West seemingly has been harder for a long time. Minnesota certainly is going to have their say in it with this backcourt, I think.
Yeah, I think the NBA is wide open right now, which makes for a good product. Since 2019, there were no repeat. There was no two-peat, and it just shows the new era of NBA. I think if there will be no more dynasties, I think, in this decade. I think until like 2030, I think it's gonna be a new champion every year. Like it's so funny that we lived to almost like what 4 years of constant not only uh, uh, dynasty but a dynasty in both conferences. Like it's so crazy. We had four NBA finals with the same teams. Not even the 90s Bulls, we had that. But 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018 were all Cavaliers Warriors, right?
Correct, and it was a dark age for the
Yeah.
NBA. So it's definitely much more interesting. Like Spurs Knicks was a crazy finals. Like we've had a couple of crazy finals. I mean, obviously the Thunder Pacers last year was a crazy finals too. Albeit a finals that I think was stolen, but it's still a crazy finals nevertheless. Um, but the last thing I want to bring up, though, kind of going back to the Bucks, is with Giannis gone, I'm curious: will Nate Ament be kind of? Are they going to try to develop him to be a replacement for Giannis? Because I mean, to me, like Nate has a very different skill set from Giannis, right? Like and what is Nate Ament's like ceiling? Because I know Rick Barnes, when talking about Nate Ament, he has mentioned that he thinks he's the single most talented player he's coached since KD. Now, Nate Ament had his struggles, and I was very critical of Nate throughout last season on the Vols, but I thought he got a lot better throughout the season. He played well in the tournament. Obviously, we made the Elite Eight. Uh, you know, I, I I certainly hope he continues to develop as a solid offensive player. I thought he played well on defense for the Vols. Um, I think, and he's still young. He's only 19 right now. So he has a lot of time to grow into his body, to kind of grow into his skill set. And maybe a couple years before we really see the final product of Nanaman. But I'm optimistic that he will be the best pro tennis he's had in a long time. Tobias Harris, is a guy who's been in the league now for 15 years, had a pretty significant role for the Pistons this past year. So I could see Nate carving out a similar role. Well, but anyway, yeah, and obviously the NBA is not the only league that's having a draft this week, but the NHL have their draft tonight. And Dylan, just talk about kind of what's happened there. Any surprises? Like what has caught your eye?
Well, basically everything has gone exactly as people predicted. For the past, I don't even know how long at this point, people were saying that Gavin McKenna of Penn State was going to get drafted first overall, and sure enough, he did. Earlier, we were talking about the importance of character in an athlete, and this kid really shows it. I guess it was a few months ago, he got into some trouble for allegedly a fight involving him broke out at a bar, which is never a good look when you're the projected first overall pick for the NHL. But after some more details came out, he was defending his mom, which, like, okay, that is completely justified.
I wonder
Sure, it
what
was.
he was doing with his mom at the bar, though. That's interesting.
I mean, I've gone to, maybe it was just like a Chili's or something. I don't know. They have a bar there.
Well, I mean,
Things.
okay, Chili's is different. But I
I,
wonder what kind of bar we're talking about.
I'm wondering that too. I doubt it was like a straight up bar, but
Like he's just at Cool Beans with his mom.
look, people did that in Knoxville. It was weird, but whatever. Another cool name. I'm gonna hopefully pronounce some of these right or this right. Caleb Malhotra was drafted by the Vancouver Canucks third overall. Now that name you probably won't recognize. However, you will recognize his uncle, Steve Nash, NBA Hall of Famer. So that's pretty cool. Um, Wyatt Cohen got drafted by the Predators 10th overall. I was watching some of his highlights. He's could be a nice shot of adrenaline for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously we improved a lot this past year. I mean, we were close to the playoffs, so we just need some extra juice there to maybe get back into it.
Nashville is in a point right now where they just need that little extra push, and hopefully this guy will be it. Washington got a decent pick in Oliver Suvanto, who played in Finland. That first round pick came from Anaheim in the trade for John Carlson, which really bums me out. Trying to think of other fun notable names. That's just the first round. But a lot of people I know are frustrated, and I think when it came out, I was busy with something else. People are annoyed that Toronto got the first overall pick when this is the first year in several years they did not make the playoffs, and they just luck out in getting the first pick in the draft lottery. When it comes to more struggling franchises, it's not fair to them. I get the draft lottery is random, but it's like
how, in your view, does McKenna fit in with like Austin Matthews and the rest of the Maple Leafs?
Actually, on that note, I've heard rumors. Let me look up Austin Matthews' contract really quick.
I know obviously Martin is not there anymore because he's with the Hurricanes, if I'm not mistaken, or the Vegas.
Okay, this is interesting. This upcoming season is not a contract year for Austin Matthews, but 2027, 2028 is. I've heard rumors that he is not happy in Toronto, so he might dip out, or Toronto might trade him to get something out of him, because any team will happily give whatever Toronto wants in a trade for Austin Matthews. But it's just a matter of, does Toronto want to shell out the amount of money that Austin Matthews is probably going to ask to stick around in a city that has had little success? And is another team going to offer him more money to maybe make them better? Now, I think Gavin McKenna would be the replacement for Austin Matthews if he does end up leaving. You already lost Mitch Marner. I've heard rumors of some other guys in Toronto that aren't too happy with the way things are. So Toronto needs to start investing in its future if a lot of these players end up leaving, which you hate to see. But when your team isn't getting results, why stick around? It's the same reason that there are rumors of McDavid leaving Edmonton at the end of, I believe, this upcoming season is his contract year. If you're not performing to give a player a reason to stick around, then I don't blame anyone for trying to leave.
Yeah, the Maple Leafs are basically what the Knicks were before this past year at this point. And obviously a team like Toronto, a heartbeat, one of the heartbeats of the NHL, they're going to get accusations of rigging. It wasn't rigged. Who knows? But that the NHL wants Toronto to be really good.
Yeah.
Because it's not good for the product if Toronto's not good. But I'm sure they're tired, like a lot of hockey fans, of Vegas, Carolina hockey finals.
I'm mildly tired with Vegas being pretty successful, but that's just because I'm a Caps fan and I'm bitter after dealing with so many years of struggling, and all of a sudden Vegas just kicks down the door, makes a heck of an entrance, and is so dominant. But that's just because they built their team right. Toronto is not built their team right. They focus too much on their first line, and not enough on their second, third, and fourth lines that put in the extra work to give those first liner guys a breather, or getting really physical with the other team's guys and tiring them out.
Well, I mean, it's like how the
hockey's
U.S. beat Canada,
yes, that is exactly why. Because Canada relied too much on Crosby and Marner and McKinnon and all of them. Meanwhile, the U.S. rotated all of its lines constantly. That is the perfect example. I don't know why Toronto hasn't figured that out after so many years, but
Do you think that it's like the overall problem with just Canadian hockey? Like when you look at like historically, right? You have guys obviously like Wayne Gretzky in Edmonton, and Canada thinks of itself as like this is where hockey stars are born. We are riding and dying with our um, hockey players. But in America, you don't really have the same pressure to have those hockey stars, so you can build a more egalitarian system.
yeah, that's a fair statement. Sometimes it works out in building your team around a superstar. I mean, Edmonton was pretty dominant in the time of Gretzky. LA did okay for itself when they got Gretzky. Pittsburgh pretty much handed the reins from Lemieux to Crosby and Malkin after Lemieux's retirement, and that's worked out well for them. I'm sure Pittsburgh struggled in the past 10 years, but they've Pittsburgh was a force to reckon with. And Chicago, another great example. Jason, if you're still listening, you can agree with me that even though Taves and Kane were the superstars, everyone played a contributing part on that team.
And we have another goal. Belgium has tacked on against New
Beautiful
Zealand
goal. Beautiful goal.
2-0 now for the
Number
Belgians.
10.
I got to restart my TV. I'm hung up on this. Yeah, it's you hate to see it because I like it when every team has the best chance possible to make the Stanley Cup. But Toronto just keeps choking and choking and choking, and it's frustrating because it's as obnoxious as they are. I like watching the Maple Leafs fans get excited because Toronto is, like you said, the beating heart of hockey in Canada, and it's just really sad to see.
So the one thing I will say, we'll get back to NHL in a second. One thing that I'm starting to get a little nervous about is if the game ended like this, Belgium 2-0, then 1-1 in Egypt and Iran, Belgium would finish second in Group G, which would pair them with the U.S. potentially in the round of 16, which obviously would be a rematch of the 2014 round of 16 match in Brazil, and would obviously be a really hard a match for the United States there. Would much rather take my chances with Iran or Egypt
Yeah, that's
in the
fair.
round of 16 than Belgium. So I really hope that's not how that plays out. We need. I would love for Egypt to score.
That would be nice.
We need Egypt to score a goal over the next 40 minutes to ensure that they win the. Actually, wait, no. We need. Actually, no. We need Belgium to score again. Keep this game level at 1-1. We need Belgium to tack on another goal so that Belgium takes over on goal differential.
Okay.
Did he freeze
Yeah,
up? I think he did.
No, I'm here.
No, yeah, I'm here. I'm here
Oh,
too.
we lost Nick.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you talk about Tom, and it's so funny how it would be crazy. For example, if Brazil haven't won, let's say, the Libertadores, our main soccer international competition with clubs here, especially in South America, for 30 years, like it would be insane. But like Canada has gone 3 decades without a single NHL title, which is like it's crazy. Like we're not talking a drought of a city of a state. We're talking about the
entire
drought
country.
in a country that lives, breathes hockey.
And the funny thing about it all is over those 30 years, they've held the gold medals over the U.S.'s heads for so long. But the most demoralizing thing to ever happen in Canada was this past Winter Olympics, with the U.S. absolutely sweeping them in all of the hockey gold medal games. Which, like, it's Canada's just lost it when it comes to hockey, both professionally and when it comes to international play. The sport is very much changing. Players are focusing on different aspects of the game, and it's not really the Canadian way. The Americans are better at adapting to it.
And also, too, I think just from a financial standpoint, too,
Yeah.
like who wants to be a free agent and go to a Canadian team?
It's that's the exact reason the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning are so dominant. When you're playing in, well, I don't even think it matters. You get an offer from Winnipeg, where in the winter you have to wear several layers of jackets just to go out and get your mail, or you can go play in Florida, Tampa or Sunrise, and wear shorts all the time. Which sounds more appealing to you guys? Exactly.
Yeah, definitely Florida.
It's one of the reasons where this is actually a pretty good transition. I just got to scroll down to the right spot. There were rumors of Brady Tkachuk probably signing to the Florida Panthers when his contract was up. Rather than having him do that, Ottawa traded him away to the Panthers on June 21st, which is absolutely massive for the Panthers because you got two of the greatest American players of all time who have absolute ridiculous chemistry playing together on the same team, which that's a lethal combination. If Florida makes a few other trades, like I've heard rumors of Connor Hellebuck going to Florida from Winnipeg. If that ends up happening, you might as well just give the Florida Panthers a Stanley Cup. No one else can compete with them.
I mean, they'll just be basically the U.S. hockey team at that point.
Exactly, which I'm not happy with because I'm not a Florida Panthers fan, but it's keeping the cup in the United States, which is what matters to me. Now, a couple of other trades looking through this. Anaheim and Vegas traded some draft picks. Mason McTavish went from Anaheim to St. Louis in exchange for 2 draft picks in this most recent draft. Andrei Burakovsky from Chicago to Ottawa for a 2027 pick. That's an interesting strategy. Chicago is, I guess, still going with that rebuild mentality. Declan Chisholm from Washington. Oh, dang, that's a bummer. He's going to Jersey. He didn't really do much, but he was a developing guy. Hendrix Lapierre going from Washington to Pittsburgh. That's frustrating just because it's Pittsburgh. Here's an interesting one. Garnet Hathaway to the Florida Panthers from the Philadelphia Flyers. He was a very tough and physical player during his time in Washington, sort of a protege to Tom Wilson. When he went to Philadelphia, he became like sort of, I guess, their lead enforcer. So you're getting a lot more grit on the ice with him in Sunrise. And then combining him with the Tkachuk brothers, that's going to be a very scary team when it comes to the physicality aspect of hockey. Alex Tuck from Buffalo to Washington, that's absolutely massive. he was one of Buffalo's top guys. And funny enough, if you know your hockey history, he was a Vegas original misfit. He was on that first Vegas team. One of the most iconic pictures in Capitals history is Braden Holtby reaching his stick out like this and blocking a shot. Who'd that shot come from? Alex Tuch. So that'll be an interesting dynamic. Even though Holtby is no longer in Washington, it's just we have history.
So I do want to just step in there a second. So Egypt has subbed out Mo Salah at the
Oh,
57th minute.
fair. They're already in. Like, why take the risk?
Yeah. Right. We're caught up with Brady Kachuk. I'm not really seeing. Yeah, that's about all of the notable trades that I can think of. I know a decent amount of them were my Capitals. I promise I didn't do that intentionally. I do want to theorize that I sent you guys a message in, I guess it was the private chat before my internet died.
Okay,
That our Washington's head coach Spencer Carberry talked to Ovechkin, and Ovi said that he's happy with the team's moves. I think they might be rearranging the team and offloading salary space to bring him back for one more year. Which
Very interesting.
This is going to be borderline blasphemous for me. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I don't know how well he'll be able to perform at his age. I get you want the excitement of a retirement tour and the chance at one more cup. The Ovechkin era is over in Washington, and I hate to say it because I grew up with it, but you got to move on. And I think rather than offloading money to invest in just one player for 1 year, Washington needs to invest in the future.
Right. Because you know that Ovechkin isn't the future at this point. And if there's someone that you can sign now that will help you for the next couple of years that you won't be able to sign because you want to do a retirement tour, then you're just basically telling the fans, like, okay, we don't really care about winning this year. We just care about the vibes. It's like Kobe's last year in LA.
Yeah. A cup is possible in Washington. This past year didn't go great. Washington could have been a wild card team if a couple of the last games went their way. Playoff hockey is brutal like that. Washington could make another run. It's just going to be a struggle, especially if we're betting on Ovechkin to remain healthy and still be able to produce results. Which, all right, let's see what happens. I'm never going to not root for them, but
Yeah, just hopefully the Caps aren't just selling the future just for glory tour. But you would think if you really want Ovechkin to come on top, right, you're going to go out and spend money to buy someone to help make that a reality.
and we sort of did that with a lot of the trades. Like Alex Tuch was a big one, like I said. It's trading away our younger guys that frustrates me. Like Hendrix Lapierre was a great asset to the team. He was young. He remained healthy. He had a future in Washington. And sure, we get draft picks, but those are for the future, not for the now. I want to know what the team is going to do now in this up and coming season rather than how we're going to strategize things in 2027 and 2028. Now, I understand that by 2027, Ovechkin is probably going to be gone. So you're investing in that future, but that's more long term. Short term future is more important as of right now.
Right. Do you think the Caps are going to ever be in a situation where they have to basically blow it up and tank?
I would like to
Host the
not
Redskins.
think so.
But they got a title out of it, Dylan. That's
They
I guess the Ovechkin era will always, kind of holds to it. Is
it's
that
it does
because
have that, yes.
it's one thing to tear down and rebuild and you have silverware, but if you had to do that and you didn't got anything out of it, and especially have a superstar like Ovechkin, then it will be frustrating as hell.
Yeah, Washington doesn't have a reason to blow up the team and rebuild right now. We'll take Chicago as a decent example. Jason can agree with me. It's been a struggle for Blackhawks fans for the past 10 years. Um, Inconsistent performance in the late season, playoff struggles, you name it. Um, it's at that point you blow up the team. Pittsburgh's starting to make some big moves last year and in the off season to try and improve things. Maybe get one last hurrah out of Crosby and Malkin. But I don't think Washington is going to need a full on destruction of the roster and then followed up with a rebuild. Things are fine. It's just the passing of the torch is going to be uncomfortable. They already have their leadership set. I fully guarantee you Tom Wilson's Washington's next captain. But it's a hot topic in DC whether or not Ovechkin should just ride off into the sunset at this point, or we should bring him back for one more year. He's done enough for the city. He's done enough for the team. He holds the goal record that is probably going to stay intact until Austin Matthews or Connor McDavid goes on a lightning hot streak. What is there more to do for him?
I mean, I just wonder if Tom Wilson's really a captain temperament.
Brad Marchand was named captain of the Boston Bruins before he went
I guess
to
if
the
he
Florida
can.
Panthers. Exactly. And I know we've had our arguments over who is the bigger rat, Marshy or Wilson. Again, it was a debate among you, me, and Jason. We all have our opinions. As long as you're able to tone it back and show your team that you can be the guy to lead them, that's what matters. I know Marchand toned it
Belgium
back.
just scored. Belgium scored again, and the Wonder Boy, the superstar Kevin De Bruyne scored 3-0. So I guess Nick is happy.
Yeah, that's huge. That means now that would put Egypt on the U.S. quadrant and not Belgium, which is
And you are
massive.
several seconds ahead of me.
Yeah, now I'm just seeing the Belgium goal from the Golden Boy.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
Wow, what a play by the other guy, but beautiful shot by Kevin De Bruyne. 3-0. So I guess we're pretty much Belgium is pretty much alive in the World Cup.
Oh yeah, this game's over. But obviously Egypt Iran remains very much in the balance, 1-1 there, and Iran really needs to find a goal here, much more than Egypt. Egypt can park the bus and get out of here for 1-1 situation. And even if Egypt were to lose with 4 points, they would be through. I'm certain. But Iran at 3 points and 0 goal difference, I'm not sure if that's enough. So Iran, much more than Egypt, needs to score.
Yeah, it's gonna be a battle. That's for sure.
But right now, unless New Zealand scores here, it looks like we will play either. It looks like if we were to beat Bosnia, then Iran and Egypt would be the favorites to be the U.S. opponent in the round of 16. Oh yeah, so I'm trying to think other American sports I was touching.
Oh, hang on, we've got some extensions. Cool. let me read through these. Keep going on with the World Cup.
Yeah, well, I was going to just bring up racing real quick from
Okay,
this
yeah,
past
yeah.
from this past weekend, because there was a massive upset in NASCAR. First ever race at Coronado Air Base in San Diego. Really unique event for America 250. So probably this will be the only time they do this. And Corey Heim, in his 13th ever start in the Cup Series, only running a part-time schedule for 2311, gets his first win as a rookie, an unreal win. He's going to have his first full season as a rookie next year, but already has his first win. Congratulations to him. Very excited to see what he can do in a full-time ride next year with 2311. Of course, this is the same team as Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace, the one that's owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. So Toyota's on a tear. Corey Heim coming out on a new track to win it. Excellent win for him. The Cup Series is at Sonoma this week, another road course out in California. I will pick Shane Van Gisbergen out of principle, although Shane SVG got wrecked out this past week at San Diego. So, but Sonoma typically is not nearly as chaotic. IndyCar, that race was pretty wild this past weekend as well. You had... I'm totally blanking on who won that thing. I think it was pretty sure it was Armstrong. No, it wasn't Armstrong that won it. The Road America race. I watched this race, but someone, my weeks are so busy, I forget, and I can't really just look it up without dipping.
Oh, what race?
Marcus Ericsson won it for. Won that IndyCar race. It was the race at Road America, and plus it's also 12:30 or 1 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah, here's 1:30 a.m. So I have to wake up early. So what a great episode again! Great time, and I'm loving you guys going deep into the World Cup. Yeah, can't believe it's our second World Cup in this podcast.
I know. Great. And I'm enjoying this one so much more because it's not during football season, so I feel like I can just focus on the World Cup this time.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't even talk about baseball, Gus.
Oh yeah, the Mets fired Carlos Mendoza. I mean, after that horrific week, and a game with 6 errors was doomed to happen.
Yeah, I think having Norwegian fans basically take the piss out in the stands was it. That was the final straw for Mets upper management, because the Norwegian fans were having a heck of a time out in the at Citi Field, and they were the only ones having fun at Citi Field.
I mean, probably the majority of it did not understand the absurdity that was happening on the field.
Yeah, they're just oh, fun, we got cheap beer and we got all the songs and stuff, but we don't know what's going on,
but we don't care.
Exactly. That's the only way you can enjoy the New York Mets this season.
Yeah,
I will say that the Atlanta Braves, they've had a little bit of a rough stretch recently. They lost some series, but I mean they're still on top of the NL East, but clearly we're getting close to the All-Star break here. They've tapered off a little bit, so we'll see how things stack up here for the second half of the MLB season coming up. Also, I want to say I did go to another Lookouts game last night. A name I want to put on your radars, Ruben Ibarra. He hit 2 homers last night for the Lookouts, of course, Double-A affiliate for the Cincinnati Reds. He hit 2 home runs the night before as well. So he has 12 home runs now in the season for the Chattanooga Lookouts. Wondering if he's going to get a call up to at least the Louisville Bats anytime soon.
And speaking of which, congratulations to the now Knoxville Smokies. They won the first half of the season, something they haven't done in a long time. So
yeah, I think they're 5 games ahead of the Lookouts to do that. Yeah, but I mean, Lookouts having a pretty good season, and of course, having very good attendance so far at Erlanger Park, and I want to say also got this shirt while I was
represent.
Yeah, while I was there
Nice.
last night. So.
Nice.
I got a Smoky shirt somewhere around here.
Yeah, I got a Smoky shirt too.
And then
I need to get a Knoxville Smoky shirt at some point, but
I,
obviously,
I have more Smoky stuff than I do Bowie Bay Sox stuff, just because there is no pride in being an Orioles fan right now.
yeah. But in any case, guys, so just last check of these World Cup matches, about 20-25 minutes left on each one. It looks like Belgium, Iran, and Egypt at this moment would all. Well, actually, Iran may not advance. Iran really does need a second goal, but we're going to watch and see what happens here with these matches. Hopefully, Belgium scores again. That would be nice to just solidify their lead on top of the group. But, guys, I think that is all the time that we have for tonight on episode 235 of Two Countries, Two Americas All Sports. For Gus Tomaselli, Dylan Becker, I'm Nick Hill. Thank you so much for watching the only American and Brazilian sports podcast.